Welcome back to the Unpatched Gaming Podcast, where we share games. I'm your host, Zack.
And I am your host, Tyler.
Tyler, as always, we got a good beer. What we got?
We do have, well, I'm hoping it's going to be a good beer.
I
It
guess you haven't tried
smells
it yet.
fantastic. Been saving this one for, I don't know, about 6 months now. This is the Aggravated Murder Banana Edition from Bombastic Brewing. I don't know where Bombastic is. I was just reading the can, and they only mention where it was brewed and canned, because Bombastic used someone else's facilities, so I don't know where they're from. But this is a stout with maple syrup, iced coffee, and banana. Is it pretty rich?
No.
No.
Thankfully. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
good.
the malt characteristic does come through. You do get that banana pancake flavor right at the beginning, that Jack Johnson flavor. But it's...
That is good. That's what they were going for. They said they wanted you to drink this with breakfast.
I mean, you know what? They wouldn't have to twist my arm.
This is good, man.
Yeah,
Those the stouts we drank the other night. We had a big beer night last night. There was probably between those 12 cans, there was probably like $500 there or something.
It was a lot. Yeah, we brought our best stuff basically.
Yeah. And we had 4 or 5 stouts.
We had 6 stouts, Tyler.
Well, we didn't drink mine.
Oh, that's right. So we just had 5. Yeah.
Okay. Some
One
of
of
those
them was
were incredibly
actually
rich.
oil, like the consistency of oil. It was nuts.
This one, that real intense bitterness from a lot of stouts, I think, that I get from stouts. Not the sort of bitterness you get from hops, but there's something about stouts in general that does make them a little harder to drink. This is dangerously smooth. I could drink this quickly.
Well, it opens
and
up
drink
sweet,
a lot of it.
but it doesn't end syrupy like a lot of stouts will. Like,
Yeah.
I doubt. Is this? I don't think it's barrel aged. I bet it's not actually, because you don't get that.
Oh, they would have said it. That's that's a buzzword.
Oh, sure.
They would have printed it on the
No,
can.
I'm betting it's not, just based on the flavor, because I mean, honestly, it starts off sweet but doesn't end syrupy, and it ends with the malt flavors that come out in a pure stout. So I actually prefer this to a lot of more contemporary favorites.
Yeah, I could drink a lot of this stuff, man.
Good. Well,
If I see them on Tavor
this
again,
cup is mine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I should have picked up more, darn it.
Well, we are here to talk about a
We're here
video
to talk
game.
about something other than stouts.
And what is that?
Final Fantasy VII.
The remake.
The remake specifically, yes. I have never played. Yeah, that's a classic tune. Even though I'm not like a Final Fantasy VII fan, I didn't play it as a kid. Do forgive my dog. I didn't play it much as a kid. I think I finished the first disc a few times, actually. I didn't get much further than that.
I played it through to the end about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Just beginning to end, didn't stop. Had an extremely good time. It was actually only my second Final Fantasy game ever after 15. I just always missed Final Fantasy growing up, so I was kind of trying to catch up. And honestly, at that time, it was my favorite. Well, no, that's not true. Probably second or third favorite JRPG ever. I really liked it. I've played more since.
Played a lot. You really dove into that genre.
Yeah, I've played a lot since. And in fact, even in terms of Final Fantasy, 4 is a contender for my favorite Final Fantasy. But regardless, I do like the game immensely. And
the original, right?
Yeah, the original.
And we'll get to that. But
I think the original is still a shining example of what that era of role-playing games, and specifically Final Fantasy, just really had to offer. It has its problems, but overall the experience is a great foot in the door for a lot of people. So even with this game out, I would still recommend people play the original if they haven't, even if they've already played
I'm very
this.
excited to go back and play it now. I just picked up the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 collection on Switch. It should be here in a couple days. But even though I don't have nostalgia for it, I didn't grow up with Final Fantasy 7, never finished it. Or I said that incorrectly, because I do have nostalgia for it as a gamer. Some of that, the music and the characters,
the opening cinematic.
Yes, all of that is so iconic. I found myself, like welling up a little bit inside with just this nostalgic joy. But I've never played this game.
Yeah.
So it has a particular weight in this medium. Even if you're not a fan, Sephiroth, Cloud and Barret, and Aerith and Tifa. And I think that's one of the best things that this game has to offer is the wildly eclectic cast of characters that
are really well realized from that PS1 era, I think, as well. I think, we've had a lot of Final Fantasy VII content in the interim, a lot of movies, spin-off games. Honestly, this is probably, of all the ones I've experienced, the best reflection of who these characters actually are from the original so far.
You haven't played... what was the one on PSP? Crisis Core? You haven't played that, right?
But I've heard very negative things about Aerith's portrayal and stuff like that, so I'm not sure.
I don't remember her too well in that game. I remember Cloud and Zack.
Sure.
I think I played it almost 2 times. I didn't finish it on my second playthrough, but I played it probably close to a decade ago. I thought that was an awesome game.
Yeah, really well received.
A ton of fun.
I would like to play it. It looks like a blast.
It was. It definitely was a blast. So is this, the new combat system, which we'll definitely jump into.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's start with talking about remakes, just in general. Mm-hmm. So, something that's always interested me since a professor once said this in a class. They're like, why do you go back to reread books? And most people's response was, so I can get that same feeling again from after I first read it.
But you'll never have that.
A, you will never have
Never have it.
And B, what dumb reason. Sorry to anybody that feels this way. What a dumb reason to go back to something. When I go back and reread a book, my favorite example, I've reread Watership Down a lot. Reread One for the Cuckoo's Nest a lot. My goal in rereading them is I have now, as a person, changed. There are a couple years between each time I reread these books, and when I go back, I've changed, and now I'm pulling new things. My experiences, the other things I've read, are changing what this book is giving me. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting something new out of it.
I think a clear example for that, if someone can't quite relate, what I would recommend is go watching a movie twice, specifically Shutter Island. Mm-hmm. You watch it once, and when you sit down to watch it again with all the knowledge you've gained, it's not just like, oh, you can see all the little nuances that lead to the twist.
Which is normal.
It's a fundamentally different movie from start to end.
A better one, too.
A better one.
I love it.
It's not like you just get to see all of those little things that lead to the twist.
It's not like Fight Club where it's like...
It was incredible watching it the second time. It becomes
a very personal psychological drama. It's a lot more reflective. It's a better film at the end of the day when you watch it again. So I think that's totally fair. And then, a good example too is like you remember watching a movie as a kid and watching it later and just not liking it anymore. Because talk about a drastic change, you as a child to you as an adult, and the same thing applies. People can reread Moby Dick 1,000 times because there's so much in there that can respond to you at multiple stages in life. The Once and Future King, very similar example. So when people talk about remakes, what's interesting to me is why. And I think we see in video games, I'm going to exclude remasters from this.
That's just
like a texture update, an
making
HD
it more
update,
widely available.
Whatever.
From VHS to DVD to Blu-ray.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Like I recently bought the Sly Cooper remaster on PS3. Like that's straight up just it's HD.
And
now.
I think that would also apply to the extra steps that might be taken in something like the what is it, Uncharted collection.
Sure.
They mess with a few mechanics in 1 and 2 that they took from 3. I think that's still on the same thing. That's not a remake. That's not a new game.
Yeah, so
this, however, and
oh my gosh, yeah.
And what did we just play? Resident Evil. Those are fundamentally new.
So I have it for myself right now, and this is not a science. This is just for me personally. I have it tiered, and I have remake level 1, remake level 2, and remake level 3. So a level 1 remake for me is an entire technical overhaul alone. Blue Point's work is a good example. Shadow of the Colossus, the Demon Souls remake. These games, they're the exact same game, warts and all, just with incredible technical updates. And not just like they redid the textures, like they used the old engine and built entirely new assets on top of it.
Or sometimes they didn't. Sometimes
they straight up kept it. Yeah, it's incredible. So
like we talked about Dead Space. If Blue Point were to touch Dead Space, I don't think they would touch the 3D models because the architecture in that game is stunning. Even today, when we played it in 2020, it
looks
was
good.
awesome.
It looks good. So that's tier 1 for me, and Blue Point's just the best example for that.
Mm-hmm.
Tier 2 is something like the Resident Evil on GameCube. It's still Resident Evil, almost shot for shot. It's the same camera angles, just updated textures and stuff. But there are a bunch of quality of life improvements. It's cleaner, it's smoother, it's easier to play. A lot of the clunkiness from the original's gone. A good tidying job, but the core mechanics are still all the same. The way you play the game is basically the same, but but there are with other updates here and there.
Mm-hmm. Is the RE1 remake that came out like 5 years ago, maybe just before RE2, was that just a retexturing of the GameCube remake?
I believe so. I haven't played that one, to be honest. I've only played in fact, I've only played the GameCube one.
Okay.
That's it.
It looks very similar, so it probably is just a tier 1 remake of the tier 2 remake.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way of putting it. I think, there are updates here and there. So that's like a tier 2. And then tier 3 is overhaul from the ground up, unrecognizable almost. Resident Evil 2 remake. And even more so this game, because at least with RE2 remake, you've got the bones there. The bones of the basic plot, where you go, the sequence that you get there, the puzzles, a lot of that stuff, is still there. It's just everything else has changed. Which begs the question, why? So for me, a tier 1 remake, a Blue Point remake, that's a remake for fans. We want you to experience this in an entirely new technical way so that you can get the way you felt back then with modern technology, right? Maybe it's looking dated now and you're not getting the same feelings playing that game. Here's Shadow of the Colossus with entirely, totally super pretty PS4 look. A tier 2, I'd say, is we want more people to be playing this game. You didn't grow up with Resident Evil. You might not want to deal with a lot of that clunk. Here you go. Here's this game. The heart is still there. Just it's a little bit more modernized for you. But why do a tier 3?
Well, I think, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's a tier 3, or maybe even 3.5. Because, as you mentioned, all of the bones are there. It's still recognizable. But this goes out of its way to divert from the original story, which, as a JRPG, as a role-playing game, is a huge part of the experience. And even wrap that diversion into the narrative of this new game.
Yeah.
So I think this does take it at least half a step further, and that's when I would start asking why. At Resident Evil, that still makes complete sense to me, because even though there were some quality of life improvements in the RE1 remake, it's still a pretty dated game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They didn't.
This is learning from modern design sensibilities, RE2 that is. And presenting it not just to someone who can...
So good.
Yeah,
it
very
translates
good.
Everything that it tried to communicate in the original game and succeeded, and does it even better. It just rocks. They really knocked it out of the park. They were able to elicit new ideas as well. So
this I do think takes it a step further.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where I was going. Is this game? In fact, I'm gonna break out into spoilers later, but for now I'm gonna stay spoiler free to the outside of gameplay stuff and just basic progression.
Spoiler free
stuff.
For who? People who have played Final Fantasy VII 1, but not this.
No, spoiler free. Period for just whatever this game is, the story. I'm not going to talk about the ending of Final Fantasy VII, the original. I'm not going to talk about big plot points in that. All I'm talking about is, the basic stuff, excluding story, excluding characters. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I will warn you, if you are a fan of Final Fantasy VII, the original game, and you're like, I don't care, I know everything that's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't. Specifically with the ending of this game. So definitely if you, if this is kind of you're starting to explore, maybe I should play this game, I'm not sure. Maybe you got halfway through. Just be aware that what we're going to talk about later will be new for you. And that's honestly a big point of contention for a lot of people. So we'll get to that. That's the question I kind of want running through this is why this remake? Why not just make a new game? Why are we using these characters again? And that's not a negative thing. That's not me going, well, why would you even do that? It's a genuine question. What made people excited when that trailer first dropped 8,000 years ago? What made people so ready for this game? Did they really know what they wanted, right? Because I'm going to be honest, I was not excited for this game. In fact, I started playing it, and after the high of that intro, I kind of started to lose steam for a little bit.
And that was a great intro.
Oh,
that was a very, very good intro.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. But for me, I lost interest for a while, and I had to kind of get my bearings again and get back into it because it's... I don't know. It's something new. It's a 3.5. It's something that I wasn't expecting, wasn't ready for, and I wasn't even really particularly excited for, to be honest. I didn't see a need or a reason. I didn't see a team that I was confident in making something unique regardless of the premise of being a remake. And I got to say I was happily surprised. I was very happily surprised, but it will... Yeah. Let's get going. So as a newcomer, Tyler, you never finished the original game. How'd you feel starting this game and getting more into it? And what's the kind of general feel you have for this game?
So, newcomer with an asterisk. I've played the beginning a few times. I've had some family members. I have some family members that, were deeply invested in this game. I grew up around it.
the whole story,
not the whole story. I really don't. I don't know the end or the middle. I know, and everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
If you think it's a spoiler, the thing happens.
Yeah, people know.
Yeah, everybody knows. Because even if you haven't grown up with Final Fantasy VII, you know it. You so can't not know it
to the video game landscape, specifically in the West.
Unless you're in middle school right now, maybe, and the only thing you know is Fortnite, Final Fantasy VII.
Absolutely.
I think that's like the only exceptional demographic right now, or demographic that is given an exception. I know Final Fantasy VII well enough.
Yeah.
Coming into this, as I mentioned earlier, because of the weight it carries, there was this sense of nostalgia for me. The intro was awesome. Seeing that train, flashing back to the train. Oh. I've seen that intro cinematic so many times.
The updated music.
The music is so good. Man. And when you get to the first boss fight, it's the boss fight music.
Yeah.
That was incredible. And then even the menu. I let that entire track play. The main menu. The title screen.
Absolutely.
I let that entire track play.
It's so...
I even pressed up and down a few times just to listen to the noise. There's a particular level of nostalgia here, even for people who are not fans, and I felt all of that.
Yeah, and honestly, you said it already. The intro to this game is killer.
Yes,
it's honestly it unfortunately fails to reach that high ever again. Because it's just that good.
Now, where would you consider the intro to
after
stop?
The first bust? And your escape, I guess.
The airbuster, right after the airbuster.
No. I mean, the Scorpion Sentinel tank.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, so the demo. I don't know if it's still available, but the demo
is that.
And it doesn't get quite to the boss, but
no, it does. Right. You fight the Sentinel.
You get to the Scorpion?
I've played the demo twice because I really liked it.
So, if you are even remotely interested, play that demo. And do you know if your save file carries over?
I do not know, but mine didn't. Mine didn't, if I remember it correctly. But maybe I just didn't know how to do it.
Okay. Well, it's not very long.
And it's honestly it's so good. You should just want to play it again.
Yeah. So, I was excited to jump in. Because it's a piece of gaming history that I've never really gotten to experience, or I haven't given the time of day, I guess. The story, I think, takes on a different weight. You've got modern cinematics and music and voice acting.
Translation.
Modern translation, sure. These things are all great. I liked most of the characters. I say I liked. No, I like. I have not finished the game yet. Unfortunately,
He's almost there.
I didn't have time. Yeah, I'm right there at the end. I've probably got 1, maybe 2 more sessions left. I think I'm on chapter 16 of 18. So I'm very close. And you can spoil the ending for me. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I think I already did when we were talking about when I finished it back in, July or August.
Maybe. I don't remember well enough. So what really gets me, because I only played the sections that I did play as a kid, so it's been quite some time. The combat here, which I know is very different. So I guess not really the combat, the materia system.
Oh yeah,
is awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. And I think I started.
That was what kept me going through the original game more than anything else, story included, was just, wow, this system is incredibly interesting. I love messing with it. I remember I got stuck on a boss in the original game, which is the hardest boss in the whole game, in my opinion, like at least the hardest required boss, which is just this industrial thing that lifts boxes up. Like, that's all it is. But it can, like, grab a character and they're just essentially dead. Like, they can't fight, they can't do anything. It's so hard, but like I was having a lot of trouble, so I left I started back at my save point and just spent the next 10 minutes like reshuffling my materia. I'm going to turn this character into this class now and kind of have this character fill this role. I'm going to try this strategy. And after, 2 times of doing that, like I had the boss beat. No grinding, no nothing, like just changing my strategy with the materia.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about this for a while because it seems uncharacteristic for me that I would like something like this so much. Because I really appreciate intelligent UI, which this game's UI is good, but it has you diving into menus a lot, diving deep into menus.
Yeah.
You've got the pause menu, then you've got the item select menu. You got the pause menu, then the character select menu, then the item menu, then the materia menu.
And then the weapon menu.
Well, yeah, if you back it up a little bit, then you get the character select, the weapon select, and then into the weapon upgrade system, which is like not even a part of the UI. It takes you into like the solar system. It's really bizarre. It doesn't make any sense at all. Almost like Final Fantasy XIII. Their upgrade system is really weird.
It's honestly reminiscent, though, that menu.
I'm going to talk about that a little more, actually. The likeness to Final Fantasy XIII.
Yeah.
The unfortunate likeness to Final Fantasy XIII.
And the fortunate in some cases.
In some cases. I actually did enjoy... I remember enjoying the combat quite a bit in Final Fantasy XIII.
It's not as close to as good as this combat.
No, of course not. And the progression. I liked the... even though the menu itself looked bizarre, I liked selecting all of the different upgrades for your characters and connecting those dots. But anyway, I typically don't like that stuff. When it doesn't have a lot of weight like this does, I think my appreciation for this game, or really a lot of JRPGs, I guess, and their complicated menus, and really my acceptance of it, and seemingly uncharacteristic acceptance of it, is an accompaniment of my love for deck building. If I had even a single card to one of my commander decks, all 100 cards are laid out. Here are all of my 1-cost creatures, non-creatures, all of my 2-cost creatures, non-creatures, to add a single card to the deck every single time. Unless I already know exactly what it's going to be swapped out for, but if I know this is going to be good, I'm going to be here for like 2 hours. Incredible. Figuring out how to add a single card. And this is what I found myself doing. Like reading over all of the materia, figuring out how they would slot into where, even diving into the manual a couple times, the digital manual, which is nice actually. They don't explain everything, like what exactly does the luck attribute do? Well, you can dive into the manual and find that out. It's not particularly important, and there's quite a few things that you'll never look at or need to look at in there, but it's quickly accessible. You don't have to like install it to the PlayStation. It's in the game, readily available. So I appreciated that. And I found myself really diving into the materia system, shuffling things around, trying a bunch of different builds for characters. I found a new game within this game that is playing Tifa, which we'll definitely get to. I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's incredible. But I'm liking the combat a lot, and that's one of two things I like about this game.
Thankfully, the combat carries most of the game. Like, that is most of what the game is.
Oh, the soundtrack. Okay, one of three things. The soundtrack, it's got some good stuff, dude.
It slaps.
Yes.
That wall market theme. I don't know what it is. That one immediately makes me both laugh and become immediately invested in whatever is going on.
It's good. I like some of the more somber stuff, and then the boss battle.
Of course.
And the main menu.
So you already brought it up, the combat. This is where I kind of want to center the beginning of this discussion, because this will be the most positively talked about thing. I'm a big fan of action RPGs, specifically, I grew up playing Kingdom Hearts, stuff like that, and Kingdom Hearts has not changed since Kingdom Hearts 2. It just, what it is has not. So this game, honestly, if anybody's a Kingdom Hearts fan, feels like what Kingdom Hearts should have been moving towards in a lot of ways. Because Kingdom Hearts was all about trying to combine the, old school turn-based, menu select stuff with action. And I feel as though this game, and so did Final Fantasy 15 to an extent, poorly, in my opinion. And this game, I think, finally has something that I think Square is going to be able to carry forward, improve upon, and it can be the foundation for them moving forward, because it blends those two so well. You have the quick, heavy, all of the particle effects, all of the fantastic,
nice.
The weight to your swings as Cloud's sword, or just the weight behind Tifa's punches. It's just awesome, so well presented, and you're making these decisions just to hit someone, and then your active time battle gauge fills up as you're making these hits and getting hit. And now you can use that active time battle gauge to make a special action, to cast a spell, to use an item. And you're trying to stagger your opponent. Certain attacks stagger them more quickly than others. Once they're staggered, there are attacks that can increase the stagger percentage, so you can do more damage while they're staggered. There's all these systems that feed into one another that are really well put together to make you engage with what's going on, never feel like you're just button mashing, to make you feel good for making smart decisions. It encourages you to switch between your characters, because the AI won't build their ATB as quickly as you using the character yourself. Mm-hmm. So it really encourages you to keep swapping between those characters, rotating.
Or play Tifa correctly.
But there's a lot going on there. And it's really well, it's really engaging immediately. That first fight, you're invested, you like being there, and you want to keep trying stuff out. And like you said, the materia system, and there's a weapon upgrade tree that we talked about. Basically, as you level up, every weapon you get will have these, they're called SP. And, let's say your first weapon, by the time you've leveled up enough, your first weapon has 90 points that you've invested in it. Well, if you buy another weapon, you don't have to start over. It has all those points available to it. So you can customize the weapon, basically. You can, I want this weapon to really focus on attack. And, each weapon...
you can pay to respec those also.
Yeah, and there are, each weapon has different things available to it. It's already spec'd to be a certain way, but you can break it a little bit, and you don't never have quite enough to buy everything as you're going through the game.
Definitely
normally.
Not, because it's a slow accumulation. By the third tree in each weapon, or no, I guess it's the fourth. You need to spend 12 points to get one of the upgrades, but every time you level it up, you only get 5.
Yeah, and
so it is a pretty slow burn.
And, you have to make meaningful decisions, and it's interesting, but it's never, fatal. Like you said, you can respec. You can go back and go, what, this weapon's not really working as a magic weapon. I'm going to turn it into a raw attack, or, a defense weapon or something. And
this is one of my favorite things about that system. I think that the menu is silly.
Sure.
I don't understand it. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway. You go into, the camera zooms in to the molecular structure of the weapon, and you're like, moving around molecules which are presented to you as like separate solar systems. I don't know what it's trying to be. It's weird. But I did this once with Cloud and again with Tifa when you came over earlier today. I was playing with Cloud's second weapon for quite a while. And then I realized, I've been accumulating all of these points for his first weapon. Now it's got like 2 extra trees that I can explore and like 32 points. So when I went back there, I can respec his first weapon or just continue down the path that I was going with it. And now for what I want Cloud to do, it's significantly better than his second weapon. And I've got 3 or 4 weapons for Barrett. And I'm still using his second because it does what I want him to do.
Sure. Yeah, and it fulfills that role. That's always what, Final Fantasy VII engaged me with the original game is, what role do I want this character to fill? I want Barrett to be my mage, then great, do it,
Mm-hmm. Like, you came over and reminded me of that. I was playing with Tifa's, 5th weapon. She gets a lot.
Yeah, Tifa gets a lot of weapons.
And I was using her third for a while because it's got a lot of damage, really high damage, and that's what I'm doing with her. And her 4th or 5th weapon is really focused on magic and has 4 materia slots. Now it's significantly weaker, but yeah, and they're linked. I'm not using any linked stuff with her, but I really wanted for the build I was going for that 4th materia slot. And then you pointed out, you're like, dude, you've got 27 points in that weapon. I was like, oh my god, I've also got 2 trees. I now have another materia slot, and going back to that physically stronger weapon with those additional upgrades, I now have 60 additional points in attack because I was able to go back to an early game weapon. So nothing is thrown away.
Yeah,
which is really nice.
Your weapon, and when you're upgrading your weapons, it's not just damage. It's sometimes it's when you have the weapon equipped, you now have 40% extra resistance to ice. That can be one of the upgrades you pick for your weapon.
Or again, one of Tifa's. She's the one I main. I mean, you're forced to use everyone, but you can control any of them, and Tifa's the one that I like the most. So that's going to be my example most of the time. But one of them is 10% extra damage when you're doing aerial damage.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, especially because aerial enemies suck.
Yeah.
I hate them. That's something they could definitely fix in the combat. Square, when you listen to this, because we know you will, just please, just jump. Jump, aim, hit. It's very simple.
That would be nice. Or at the very least, because Cloud and Tifa will jump into the air.
Sure,
by
but
themselves.
Right where they're at. So if the enemy moves, now you're just hitting nothing.
Yeah. Or, God forbid, you're on a catwalk or something, and you're fighting a drone. You just have to stand there.
Yeah, or just track them. Just track them. I get it kind of takes some of the, actioniness out of it, but that's way better than me banging my head against the wall trying to kill this stupid Drake because I forgot to equip arrow. It's just
arrow.
The
air. I was
like, there are arrows.
Yeah. No, I did find you can throw grenades at enemies that are not reachable.
Mm-hmm.
I threw grenades at a couple of drones. Now I also threw a grenade tried to throw it on a distant enemy that was standing on something, and it just falls down.
Wonderful.
So it doesn't work always, but that's an option. Instead of just standing there with Tifa, I can throw grenades.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will say that all the combat feeds into each other because really the goal, especially against bigger enemies, is to get their stagger gauge filled. It's not really to do damage to them because you're gonna be able to take off a good 1/8, if not more, of their health once you get them staggered. And
I don't know where this comes from other than 13.
Yeah, this is definitely a 13 system.
I don't know if it came from 12 or 10 before it.
It's definitely a lot less tactical. 13, you really had to be tactical on how you spent, each character. And here's the get to the stagger phase, and then now you're in the staggered phase. In this game though, it's a lot. It's quicker. It gets done. You don't even have to be doing it. Just doing damage slowly fills it up. You can, you don't have to be as strict as you did in 13. Like 13, here's the best way to do this, to beat this boss. Like, hey, I have a setup going on right now, and I like this, and I'm just gonna play it like this, and you can usually make it work if you're being smart about it. It's that blend between action and turn based that really comes together well. Even when you go in to select your menu to select what you're about to do, your special move or your item, time keeps going very slowly, but it keeps going, and it's encouraging you. By the end of the game, I knew my menus really good. Really well. I could switch between characters very quickly, command other characters quickly. It really, once you get good at it, is not slowing down the flow of combat. At the beginning, it will, especially as it's not so much the beginning, but once you kind of start accumulating more options, you'll kind of slow down a bit, but you'll get in the flow, and you know how you deal with mob enemies, you know how you deal with larger enemies, and you just kind of get in the groove, and you go fast, and it feels good because you feel at once smart because you're being a little tactical, and awesome because it's action and you're in the middle of it, and these enemies are grouped up right now. I'm gonna cast Faraga and blow them all up at once, and that just happened because it's it's happening in real time right there. So
or Ice, the Blazega.
Oh, it's so good, yeah.
Because first it deals damage as soon as it comes on, and then it explodes. And
just
hits
like
everyone. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's honestly a blast. I love fighting. Like anytime a fight comes, and there's really good enemy variety. There's a bunch of different status effects, like they're always in the usual Final Fantasy ones, and they're used to great effect here.
Some of which are complete BS.
Oh yeah, some of them
like sleep.
Sleep is rough.
I don't think sleep is as bad as just a simple stun. It seems like it's 2 freaking minutes.
Yeah, you're out of commission for a while.
A long while.
But then it kind of helps you prioritize certain enemies and who do I want to make what do I want to be dealing with right now. It's fun. It's not by any means it's not complex. It's not dense or impenetrable. It's still very straightforward. This enemy's weak to fire, or this enemy will get staggered if you knock it over or something like that. It's not terribly complex, but it is engaging and it's fun to play, and I think it's the best I've seen from this style of game in a very long time. I think this style of game has been either coming up with these really half-baked systems or just does Kingdom Hearts 2, and even Kingdom Hearts 3 just did Kingdom Hearts 2, you know what I mean? And it's cool to see this system getting some love and, despite the little inadequacies here or there, really carry this game.
It carries it, definitely. For me anyway. And the story really picks up later once they stop trying to trick you into thinking this is a good open game, like a pseudo open world game, and they take you out of those large areas and they commit to the linearity of the game. I think it gets much better. If they did away with all of the open areas, I would probably have a better time with it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I do want to say, though, in terms of progression, that you have a couple different systems that are really interesting because of how they work together. So we talked about materia, and as you have it equipped and use it, it has AP, which slowly accumulates and the materia will upgrade. So fire, when it gets upgraded, you have access to both the fire spell and the next level, right, Fira, and it continues down that path. And you have weapon SP, which we talked about. That's what you use to spend.
What is the S?
I don't know. Sword points.
Sure.
I don't know. But yeah, so you have that system. So you can upgrade your weapon, which also includes materia slots. So you can slot more materia in there.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons I switched back to that early weapon with Tifa. Her second weapon, it's the first weapon that you get, I think. Not just for Tifa, it's the first new weapon you find in the game, super early on. And I got to go back to that, and now it's like the strongest weapon I'm using.
Yeah, it's
all because I got that fourth materia slot.
Another thing that's really interesting is as you use every weapon comes with a weapon ability, which has a little level gauge, but it only has basically 0 to max, and that's it. And once it's at max, you've now unlocked that weapon ability for when you're using any other weapon as well. So it encourages you to at least, basically, and it doesn't take long. It takes very little time.
Yeah, very little.
So it's basically just a little system to be like, hey, try this out. See if you like it. Make sure you try the ability. Make sure you're messing with the trees in this one. See what this weapon does. And it's cool. I love things like that. That we see a lot. We talked about this a lot in Hades. The way it encourages you to try the other weapons and go through runs with them. Just little things developers do to go, come on, try it out. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a really good way to do it because those abilities are strong and interesting and fun to try out, and they work well in different situations. Tifa, like you said, she gets so many weapons. She gets a little orb that stays in place and does damage. She gets, high, just raw damage output stuff, positioning stuff.
Yeah, I'm going for raw damage output. I don't have anything invested in magic. I have a lot invested in materia slots. I sacrifice some defense for a accessory that gives me an extra materia slot because her entire kit right now is based around the ATB gauge. So you feel that's when you can do anything.
Do anything but
basic
normal attack,
yeah.
and your special. There's a triangle
you've
button.
You've got a basic and a heavy attack basically. So anything that isn't that. So your special moves, your spells, item uses, they all require one use of your 2 ATB gauges or like ATB bars, and that fills as you deal damage and as you take damage while blocking, right? Specifically while blocking?
I believe so. Yeah.
So everything I have equipped to her right now, with one exception, increases that, but also for other teammates. So I love it. It's a totally different game. So
as you level up, you get actual just normal raw experience. As you level your character up, that gives you more points to spend on your weapon upgrade trees, which offer more materia slots and other little bonuses, so you can be upgrading more materia at a time. Sometimes I just have a materia that I'm not using that I want to upgrade for later.
We haven't talked about this at all. What materia is. So, materia is all the magic in this game. But unlike maybe any other JRPG, I don't know. I don't play many. But it's one of the first that I've seen. Magic is crystallized in a physical object, a little orb that you can put into a weapon or something. And because it's a physical object, you can use it with one character to level it up and give it to another character who might use it less often. But when they do use it, they'll have the more powerful one. And maybe you can start upgrading the other one with the character that uses it all the time. Because each specific spell, each instance of a spell, because it's a physical item, has its own experience that you can just pass around to characters.
Yeah,
or sell them.
And it works the same way it did in the original game. It ain't broke. It don't need fixing. It's a great, it's just interesting. An RPG is all about role playing. I want this character to do this. I want this character to be strong in this. I want to make a good team, and how awesome to have and other games do this, of course, but to have a system where it's I just want to change this. I want to change it up totally just right now on the fly. Bam, you do it. Done. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's fantastic.
I don't know how true this was in the first game, but if you look at someone like Barrett, he's a huge muscular guy that is really rough around the edges, and you would think he's going to be your tank, which he can be.
He has a couple really good abilities for it.
But he has far and away been the best support in the game so far.
I straight up when I did a summon fight to try to get one of these summons, I just hit the crap out of him. I just mana wall.
I don't have that one yet.
Because it's just so good, and he, for some reason, he's built. I could build him that way to where he's really effective at doing that, and that lets Tifa and Cloud output damage for me. Cloud's good jack of all trades for that, right? He can do a lot of magic, and Tifa just that raw damage, like you were saying. I mean, but there are other team comps that you can find pretty much anywhere, and even on a game that's this linear in terms of the actual way that you progress through the game, beat to beat, it's incredible the variety that you can have.
Yeah, because you don't have to spend time grinding to get new experience for a weapon or a new class or something. You can switch things anytime. You can pay, some insignificant sum to fully respec a weapon if for some reason there's a better path, which typically there's not. Each weapon does lean pretty heavily into one direction.
Sure.
They have a few variances in the abilities they allow for, but it's pretty clear what each weapon is trying to allow you to do.
Yeah.
But reslotting your materia, and using new abilities completely,
because it'll impact your stats, your health, your your damage, your attack, your defense. It actually impacts those stats. It adds or subtracts from them. So I do want to mention before we move on from the combat is some gripes I have with it, because it's not perfect. Square, I know you're still listening. Stop doing the stupid you can only summon during certain fights. Summons are awesome. Let me use them whenever I feel like it, because they're super cool. They're so flashy. They
are cool, and
they require, it's not like it's free damage either. Sure it is, because they'll walk around and hit people, but to use their actual good moves that, do mass AoE damage or, high damage on a single target, you have to consume your own ATB gauges. Yeah. You still have to build those up to be able to earn the active time battle gauge to be able to use those moves, some of which are 2. It's not cheap.
You only have 2 unless you equip a particular materia. You only have
that's
2.
your max, know. So it's not like it's let me summon Ifrit against the small little robot junk cleanup dude. Like, it's fine.
So it takes a while to fill the summon gauge, a long while. It would, unless that were totally rebalanced.
Sure, rebalance it.
Even if you had it on from the first moment of every fight, you'd probably never use it.
Sure, but now what it's become is, this fight gets a summon that's calculated in the boss's health. It's not actually, if you think about it, not actually really even doing anything.
What is it?
Like, the summon. Because if you think about it as a summon is only allowed at fight 1, fight 10, fight 13. It tells you which fights you're allowed to summon in. If you get a summon during that fight, that's basically already calculated in the boss's health. It's not doing anything. It's straight up just a button response. What is that? Why am I blanking right now? God of War.
Quick QTE.
Yeah, QTE. It's basically just a QTE at that point, right?
Okay.
So why not balance it, make it maybe a little weaker, that's fine, but then give me control over it. So that means I get to make the meaningful decision. You, the game, aren't telling me that this decision needs to happen. I'm going, Ifrit's about to rain down fire.
Maybe next time. So we'll talk about the story. It's split up. What is likely going to be a trilogy, you think?
I would not be surprised if there were 6 games.
Oh my god.
I would not be surprised if Square is just like, hey, this went really well. What do you think we should do? Guys, we should have 20 games. No, let's balance 10. 10 games. That's what's going to happen.
You know what would look beautiful on anyone's shelf?
Oh, yeah, though. Please.
Just a slipcase with all of the games, if it were 6.
Oh, no,
with,
for sure.
That original Final Fantasy VII logo across the white spines.
They're going to do
nice.
it.
Or a book. Like that Annapurna collection.
Yeah, so
I can't wait for that to get here.
It's at the end of the day, that's a big gripe for me, is the summon.
I went on a bit of a tangent there. I wonder if in the next game, if this is a common complaint and they have heard it, what if they let you switch to the summon? That would be great.
Because you're basically doing that. You're just telling it which move to use. That'd be so cool,
That'd
dude.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah, see, now you're talking. Square, you heard it. You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here
Actually,
first.
not at all. I'm sure other people have said this. But that's a complaint I have. The other complaint comes from, unfortunately, from the game itself, the way that it's, doled out. I think it's not that big a deal, but I would like to have access to all 4 characters, for most of the time. Once you get them, they're just there. I realize for the story, it needs to go a certain way. I totally understand that. But there's just so much more variety that having Aerith gives you. Aerith is a fantastic piece of the party, and I really, you notice that she's not there. I really would like if I could do this in my team build, but the story says no right now. Yeah. I get it.
Right now, isn't it, do you get a choice? Because I haven't gotten her again, but do you get a choice of
Yeah.
who to swap out later?
Yeah, so that's a testament. You don't actually get to swap out for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm 25 hours in right now.
Yeah, and you just don't. So it's just something that I'd like to see because once you finish the game, you can go back and do chapters again, and you have access to all 4 party members. And I believe at least actually. I'm not too sure. I don't think I went back to any that did not already have the whole party there, but I'm pretty sure you can, and just having the freedom and the ability to swap through them would be awesome because it does add more to the game. So anyway, that's a minor complaint for me. I do want to talk about the bosses because I'm a big fan of bosses.
You are. It's got to be one of your favorite things about video games.
It just is. Oh my gosh, we should just go through my top 10 favorite bosses one day.
That's fine. Your favorite. I won't have much to add to that, but I'll listen to you talk.
I love bosses. They're just, I love what they do in video games. I love the spectacle of them. I love the challenge. Anyway, this game has fantastic bosses. I would argue that the game shines the most because they're huge spectacles. Just look at the first boss. If you go play that demo, fight the first boss, you'll see. Is huge spectacle. I mean, I'm talking Colossus of Rhodes, God of War 2 spectacle level without being a quick time event. Like, it's so, you're making decisions in that combat encounter that matter every single time, but it's still so huge and dramatic and just epic. And that's the first boss, you know? So I really like the bosses in this game. So Here, minor spoilers going to be starting. No, I'm going to say it. Spoilers start here. Just, if you want to play the game, stop, because I'm going to go through my favorite bosses. My top 10 bosses of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Number 10, Eligor. He's basically like this death in a chariot dude.
Oh yeah, he was good. He was a lot of fun.
He's just a lot of fun. He was difficult. He was really highly mobile, so he's hard to hit with his weakness, which is ice.
Yeah, and then halfway through, his chariot starts flying.
It's even more mobile. He has some really heavy hitting attacks that he has this like gaze beam thing, but it's all about positioning. And a lot of bosses up to that point, it didn't really matter as much where you position, just like don't get hit by their massive attack. But position really mattered in this fight, and I liked seeing the game do that. Number 9, Sephiroth, last boss of the game. He's a little bit lower. They're obviously saving their best ideas for when you fight him, faux real. But he's still Sephiroth. Great spectacle, really fun. You better have barrier equipped on Cloud.
Does he don his one wing?
Of course. Oh.
But is like
no, I know. I'm just saying like the full like.
Does it show up?
I'm pretty sure it does. You gotta remember it's been a while since I played, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. And the Airbuster, number 8 for me. I love it. You can kind of change how what he has access to based on the parts that you choose to remove from him as you progress through the dungeon leading to him. So that's fun. I like that. He's also just, again, great spectacle. Really get to make use of electricity and just take him out. There's one you haven't fought yet, H.012. He's an experiment. I really like him because he kind of keeps evolving throughout the fight. Not dynamically, unfortunately, based on how you're fighting him. But he keeps kind of changing throughout the fight, and it's very fun. The Hell House. I love the Hell House.
I have a big problem with the Hell House. I saw where the fun was, but so there were seemingly 2 options: stand there and do nothing until, or run around and dodge, but do nothing for a minute and a half or 2 minutes until that 2-second opening happens, and swing in with a magic attack. A particular magic attack, because the Hell House will switch its weaknesses.
Barrier.
Yeah, it'll switch its kind of barrier, and while it's in the process of switching that barrier, you have an opening. I was doing very little damage to it throughout the whole thing, because I'd be trying to do damage while it had a barrier up, and of course not using particular spells, but just trying to do damage, which means I'm using the ATB. And for that 2-second window, if you don't already have an ATB open, or if it's a stronger spell, have the spell already selected, because the casting for stronger spells takes a little longer. So that way it actually casts during that window. The window felt incredibly small.
I would just break its barrier.
And then I got caught in a loop where both characters were almost dead, or one was 0 health, and the other one was very low. So I'd use a Phoenix down to raise Aerith, and the other person would die before either of their ATBs filled to allow for a little bit of healing. And so then I would switch to the character I just raised, because the previous character is now at 0, and do that same thing again. I think I went through like 20 Phoenix Downs there, and Aerith had Rise equipped. I just couldn't use it.
Amazing.
So I got caught in a really frustrating loop. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I love it. It's breaking through the barrier. Just it's so aggressive. The house is just incredibly aggressive. It has so many different moves. I loved fighting it in the original game. It was so nice to see it here. The first time you fight the Abzu, which is the rat creature, honestly a very forgettable fight in the original game, becomes really fun. It's the first time you really get to really make use of that nasty magic damage Aerith has on a boss, and burn through that sucker. I love it.
Her damage is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love the next one is the Genova Dreamweaver, just because it's a cool looking boss, and it's fun to just be in that space and get to actually see Genova.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. The Scorpion Sentinel, first boss in the game, my number 3 favorite. I think it's so well designed. It teaches you without sacrificing the spectacle and the challenge and the fun. Fantastic. Number 2, Leviathan. The summon fight for Leviathan. I straight up won after using all my everything, all my ethers, all my potions, everything with like no health left. I barely scraped by, and that summon's really worth it. I love Leviathan. It's fantastic. And then finally, the second fight with Abzu. I don't know why. Can't quantify it for anybody. I really like fighting that guy.
Favorite boss in the whole game?
I don't know why. I really don't. I just love fighting him again. I love having to deal with all those little stoats. What are they called? Shoats.
Shoats. That sounds right.
Those guys. It's fun. I don't know why.
I found it to be pretty easy.
Oh yeah, it's not that bad. I think I died the first time just from being careless, but it's pretty easy. It's not a tough fight. It's just, I don't know, I like the arena. I think it's fun. I like his little flood attack. You have to kind of be mindful of where you are again. They really try to, when a lot of bosses make you have to be more aware of positioning, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And this is one where it does work, I think. Where are you in the room? Even not even in relation to the boss, just where are you in the room? So, because he has attacks that flood certain areas and do damage. And yeah, anyway, I like the bosses in this game. Hey, this game has a lot more than combat.
It does.
That stuff's not that great.
No.
It's not good at all. This game, it's been said already by a lot of people. I'm going to say it again. Filler. There is so much filler in this game.
Uninteresting filler.
Yeah, like stuff that doesn't...
good.
Some that doesn't
not here.
Progress the story in an interesting way. There was a content creator who said, "Hey, when was the last time you played this game? You probably just finished it. Hey, remember this part of the game? That's what I thought. You didn't. Hey, what meaningful character interactions happened here that the game wanted you to think were meaningful? You don't remember, do you? It's just little things like that where it's like you don't care."
And there's 2 parts in here that aren't. It's not side content. It's required that I think are completely useless and add literally 0 to the game. And that is two of your favorite bosses, the lead up to 2 of your favorite bosses, the train graveyard up to that chariot boss that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That adds 0 to the story. It's just a useless hour and a half of your time.
Yep.
And the second run through the dungeon or the sewers to that boss. Both things add 0 to the story. They try to make a character interesting. First time I found myself skipping a cutscene because I just could not suffer through that.
Yeah, it's frustrating. In fact, all the characters that aren't the main characters, not only are they all uninteresting, underdeveloped, just why are you here? but most of them don't even. I think it was mentioned on the Min-Max deepest dive. They said they don't even look like they look like different species.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
You got
all of the people do.
You got the main cast who are, incredible. This is character design that has lived on since the PS1 era. Like, it's incredible character design. It's stuck in cultures, it's ingrained. And then you have generic Joe Schmo who straight up I could not draw any of their faces if you asked me.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. And then you have, your little the Avalanche cast, someone said sophomore Solid Snake, and generic chubby comic relief character, it's
who's the generic chubby comic relief from Breaking Bad.
Badger.
Yeah, it's Badger.
Yeah, it's actually Badger.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's odd.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising, but.
And then Jesse. I want to take a moment though to defend flat characters. I wrote you a little dissertation last week.
He does this from time to time on text.
Yeah.
I have to grab a cup of coffee and snuggle up in my favorite chair and go through his thesis.
Correct. Just in a text message, just one single text message.
So much where it just says the show more button because it's like even the text message is like I can't even be bothered right now. Like it's so much text you have no idea.
Yeah, I write it in something else and then I just paste it to the text box.
Yeah.
So we talked about this in the last episode too. Really boring, flat characters, and I'm not going to argue that these characters are not flat. In fact, Cloud is pretty flat. Not as flat as these other characters, but Cloud is a pretty boring character.
And I think I'm hopeful because of how well they've handled Barrett and Tifa and Aerith that he will grow. Because honestly, the whole Midgard portion of the original game, he is pretty flat. Like that's just where he is in his character journey at that time. It's not until he gets out, starts trying to follow Sephiroth, and has his bonding moments with Aerith that really start to, push him into who he becomes, which honestly, even with all the side content, all the, the extra game Final Fantasy VII stuff, I don't think they've really ever gotten him quite right. And like who he is at the end of that game.
Sephiroth?
No, Cloud. Sorry. Well, yeah, Sephiroth for sure. But Cloud in particular, just because he's vulnerable and he becomes honestly empathetic and, very open. And
the first stage in that is only brought on by a character that you said was loathsome. Like
I really dislike Jessie.
Yeah. And that's fine. She is a flat character. And she's not as flat as the other two Avalanche members. I'm not going to talk about them. They are useless flat characters. Jessie, I don't think is, because one of my favorite moments in the game so far is walking on the rooftops with Aerith. You've just escaped the church. You've just fought Rude, or not Rude, but Reno, and she's just poking at you a little bit, poking through your rugged demeanor.
Her. That's like she's the one who opens Cloud up,
But he wouldn't be at that place ready to be. He wouldn't be as accepting of that if that didn't also happen with Jessie.
I don't know.
In the previous chapters.
I don't know.
So, in defense of flat characters.
That's fair. I mean, I will allow it.
I'm going to talk about Jessie. I'm going to talk about Jessie and Dina from The Last of Us and Manny from The Last of Us. We talked about flat characters last week or last episode, and the only side character worth your time was Owen in The Last of Us, because he did bring a lot out of that character and provide a lot of character development for Abby. And that's great. But I don't think it's realistic to expect the level of detail you get from Abby and Joel and Ellie from every other character that you see on screen. The characters are there.
The Godfather.
Maybe. I have not seen The Godfather because I'm a loser.
Shame.
Because I am a freaking loser.
I mean, I'm just saying there are ensemble pieces, there are stories where you can have everybody be well developed. And it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to have these incredibly deep, characters, like everybody has to have a fully richly developed backstory that you care about. Like, no, they just have to be interesting, And
maybe I'm just a dummy, which is fine. You're a very intelligent person.
No, I think I'm just more tired of it probably because I do.
But I look at Jesse and Dina. Dina is a slightly boring character, especially when compared to Ellie. And standing side by side, they have some pretty similar personality traits, but they're also pretty different people. And Dina loves Ellie and wants to be with her, but also loves her life in Jackson, is super comfortable there, and is a very intentional juxtaposition to Ellie's character. And
Ellie.
Ellie. And then you've got Jesse from Last of Us, who he's a pretty stoic character. He's got a couple moments, some pretty good one-liners there, but he has obviously seen much more terrible things in his life than Dina has, who, they've grown up in a post-apocalyptic world. All of them have seen terrible stuff, but I think Jesse can relate to Ellie way more than Dina can, and is able to stand next to her not only with this sort of level of equality that Dina doesn't have, but also even this little bit, this air of authority over her, because while they might be on the same level in experience or similar levels, he is also able to relate to people way more than Ellie can. And that comes across in every scene that he's in. And I think Manny also does a lot to ground Abby as a, really entrenched member of this society. And he's obviously her best friend. Aside from Owen, they have a bit more of a history than just friends. But aside from Owen, I think, his best character. Best friend. You see that just in the openness of their or his sex life, and just the sort of their banter back and forth, how well they know each other. It all comes across very well and does a lot, I think, to ground Abby as a well-established, respected member of this society. And they serve a particular function. They're one note, sure, but they do that thing well. And I think those characters and Jesse in Final Fantasy VII are all just interesting enough to want to hang out with and maybe have that pizza with Jesse in Final Fantasy VII.
Well, now you can't.
Now you can't. Yes, because she did.
Yeah.
But I...
Well, you know who is a really well-developed side character? Bentley
in Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah,
Bentley. I haven't gotten there yet.
No, he's
Who's
the
Bentley?
nerdy kid with the... He's the one who develops new materia for you.
He's intentionally a flat character in that you don't even know he's a person.
Yeah.
He's basically just a robot.
He's a vending machine.
Yeah.
The dollar bills are just tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bentley is probably the Christ figure of Final Fantasy VII to me. All I can do
Bentley
is stay up at night.
An androgynous Aryan that gives you new materia and doesn't do anything else.
And
he just stands there literally as a vending
once
machine.
Insufferable and intoxicating. I love Bentley like I love both my mother and my future son. I think that Bentley...
What is happening?
Bentley is the most important thing that's happened since 9/11.
What is going on right now?
I don't know, but I find Bentley to be so insanely engaging for me, for no reason at all. I love Bentley so much. Also, he gave me a Leviathan materia, which was pretty nice. But no, I think Bentley's fantastic.
Okay, I'm happy you have opinions.
Hey, moving on. No, Bentley does actually provide another form of, that loops into the gameplay. And it's just, he gives you extra tasks, assess this many monsters, stagger this many monsters, get one monster up to, 800% stagger or something crazy, And he basically rewards you by giving you new materia that you can't get anywhere else. He's developing it himself. And he, it's just a little checklist. I found it very useful personally to get to know the systems a little bit better, what the game expects of me, and especially assess the early stuff that he gives you to do. So
assess is very important.
And I didn't know much about the stagger percentage until I did more of that stuff with him. So I found it very useful and helpful more than anything else. I think something else we need to talk about is the side quests. I know you've kind of been skipping them on purpose to get through the game. This is quite obviously an incredible departure from the main content. And I would argue that's something to bolster and show how good the main content is, if I suffer really poorly done side quests in other games that I'm not enjoying that much, it's not going to stand out. This stands out like a sore thumb. Like, as much as the NPC characters stand out as compared to Cloud or Tifa.
There's other things that I can mention, that I will mention about this game that are incredibly, poorly presented. The Japanese BS.
Okay, yeah, let's move into story since we're going to bring it up.
Okay. No, this has to do more with design, not so much the story. That's anime BS. That's whatever. Like anime has certain
tropes,
things,
just like
tropes,
anything.
Sure,
just like anything.
That I'm talking about things that I have noticed in Japanese games, particular, and I think there's only one developer.
If you mention minigames, I'm going to slit your throat.
I'm going to mention minigames.
I love minigames.
Well, just a moment. Maybe we have a different the side tasks you do.
I'm talking about I don't know if you did this one. You unlock in this back alley. You get to there's a bunch of stacked boxes, and your goal is to, with Cloud, you have full access to all your abilities in ATB, to destroy as many boxes as you can.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
And it's so fun. I played it like 20 times.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. So I think there's one exception. Really, I can only think of one exception, and that might not even be true anymore, of a Western developer that would be given this kind of leeway. Like, people just seem to forgive Bethesda for any Bethesda jank.
Until
maybe not so
76.
much anymore. Yeah, I think they've really fallen from grace. But I see in a lot of Japanese games really poor implementation. Like, do they just not have the same technology that Western developers have? I don't get it. Or like some of the design philosophies, like the way you traverse this world. It feels like Square looked at Naughty Dog and said, "Oh, those little squeeze throughs are interesting and players like those." Or, like crawling under something is interesting, an interesting interaction with the world. So that stuff is everywhere, and it's not to load a new area. It's obviously already loaded. It's a small area anyway, and it's already there. They're just going to make you spend 4 seconds to squeeze through this wall because somebody on the team thinks that that's interesting interaction with the world.
I haven't seen that in other JRPGs, though.
No, I just think this sort of philosophy carries through with, from what I have seen from certain Japanese games. Of course, this isn't every Japanese game. You've got, again, with Final Fantasy, like, the silly interactions, like unlocking the door with Tifa and Barrett, where you have to match the way the stick moves up and down, and you do something similar later on. or those the stupid crane arms with Aerith.
That was bad.
All of it is really
but I see that in everything,
boring
though.
design.
I see that in everything, though.
And then like when there's a thing to interact with on the wall, and Cloud is here, but the prompt shows up, and he'll stiffen and slide over and then interact with the thing because there's no additional animation. If he's opening or pressing that button, he won't just stand there and press it. Like, his hand won't be drawn to the button. He will stop, move, and then press. The animation will happen. And this even triggered once in the train graveyard. There's a couple times where you have to turn a train on to like move something out of the way. And you crawl up the ladder to the back of the train, and there's like a pretty, it's like 3 or 4 steps that you have to take to finally get inside of the little part of the train with the lever. And the button prompt appeared as soon as I climbed up the ladder, so I pressed it, but he stiffened and slid all the way up. It was really dumb. Or sometimes characters will like just get in your way of the buttons, or they'll be right next to each other, and you have to be directly in front of it to interact.
I found that people forgive what they love.
Maybe.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is, like I've said multiple times, my favorite game ever. I was playing it again today. And it has problems. It has plenty of problems. And I forgive every single one.
These are
every
not, I'm
single
not talking
time.
about, these are not technical problems. These are not technical limitations. These are intentional. This is like an intentional design philosophy that I see in things like the Tales series. There were 2 games on the Switch earlier on. For a little bit of what I've seen of Astral Chain, and I only played the demo for like something Ex Machina. It's a mech game, and you have a base where you can manage the mechs.
I'd be very curious to hear Unpatched Japan Edition to see what they complain about with Western games, because that's always interested me, is the divide between the critical reception in Japan versus the West. You get something like, Famitsu giving Death Stranding a perfect score, and the West really struggling to, find any consensus on that game. Other examples, down the years are pretty easy to find, where there's obviously a divide critically between how players and critics in Japan versus the West are receiving games. And I wonder if there's stuff that we just aren't seeing that we accept so much, because
that's very interesting.
I'd be very curious, because honestly, because of grown up on Kingdom Hearts 2, all this stuff you're saying straight up never even once crossed my mind.
And that's fair. And I'd like to say something to add to that statement, or clarify a little bit. Obviously, this is not Japanese games in general. You mentioned Metal Gear Solid 5, which is a Japanese game. Looking at Capcom games, those games are all pretty solid, and even some Square games. Square's one of the biggest developers in the world. It's not always true, but if you saw a Naughty Dog game do this, if you saw a Sony Santa Monica, or you see with Halo. You saw that kind of stuff, those really poorly implemented easy things that we haven't done in years. Like, people have not accepted that poor level of polish in a very long time with Western games, and you see that people come unless it's Bethesda, but again, I think they have largely fallen from grace. You don't see people getting that pass with big Western designers. Ubisoft, if that stuff happens in a Ubisoft game, it is made perfectly aware by every single reviewer. And I mentioned, a lot of people pointed that out, but it was so quickly glossed over. Like, I think it's poor design, and it's not a technical limitation. Like, there's no reason for the level of squeeze-throughs that they have. And even if they did want to keep that, I really do think it's just like they looked at Naughty Dog and said, people must like that because they like Naughty Dog games. Every time there's one, it's either a load screen, or they take a moment to have at the very least, interesting character interaction. the character might say something about the world, or like Abby will be walking through a squeeze through and talking to herself about the thing that just happened, or as two characters are pushing a bookshelf out of the way, they'll have a moment to talk about their favorite movie. Interesting things. None of that in here.
I don't know. I definitely can't sympathize with you there, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just can't. But I mean, I understand where you're coming from, though. I get it. I just, those things, even now after you've said them, don't even a little bit cross my mind that much. Like, it's just weird. I don't know. I can't just.
Or the lip sync animation. Those are bad.
Yeah, those are fantastic.
Unless it's one of the main characters, it is complete nonsense.
Oh, absolutely. And you did mention like there is a moment where they were recreating the hand puzzle and they blow it out, of course, into 3 separate puzzles, and none of them are interesting. They're very slow. They have some slapping music behind it, but that doesn't make up for it. It's frustrating. This is stuff that I think comes from the padding problem, though, which we mentioned. Most of this game, I bet you could trim 15 hours off this game and not even blink. Like, there's a lot of stuff that is just obviously empty padding that is not necessary for what's coming, that is not necessary for even any game to have. And it's frustrating, and it ruins the pacing of the game. The pacing of the game is all over the place. I think of Midgar in the original game. That is so tightly paced and plotted, and after 6 hours, you know exactly what you need to know, and you are out in the larger world. Done, The game starts then. So it is frustrating for me to see how much padding is happening here, and it does make me honestly mourn for a game that could have been in a lot of ways. But that being said, let's wrap up. Let's talk about story real quick. I do want to mention the ending. This is really important to know, is that we were talking about this being a tier 3.5 game in terms of a remake, right? And this remake is going to do new things because the little hooded figures that are present throughout all the, the media marketing and stuff are, whenever something happens that didn't happen in the original, are putting things back in line so it follows the original plot. There's a moment coming up that you haven't gotten to yet where Barrett gets stabbed by Sephiroth through the heart. And this little ghost thing comes over and heals Barrett and brings him back to life. And you're like, what? What is happening right now? Like, that's the most jarring moment in the game, probably, because you're really confused. And you realize that this is fate. This is the actual physical embodiment of fate. And it's trying to steer the game according to the original title. That's what it's trying. Anytime
you kill fate.
And you kill fate. That's the last boss, but before Sephiroth is fate. And you kill it, and the final cutscene of the game shows Zack living instead of dying. They are actually going to make something different and new. I don't know how far they're going to take it, but unlike many...
I mean, I would venture to say pretty far if the catalyst for teaching the player what the differences are going to be is Barrett getting stabbed through the heart, then there's probably going to be some pretty big swings.
I'm personally hoping so. And many people, this is what they were most frustrated about. And I couldn't disagree more, because this, unlike anything else the game could have done, shows that this is not a remake where we are just trying to elicit the same feelings you had playing the original game. This is not a remake where we're just trying to do what's been done before. Like, we thought that we have something new we can offer players, and they want to try to offer that. And I hope they take it off the rails. I hope it goes nuts, just totally crazy, because what they've set up by killing Fate, if they don't and they just make minor adjustments, it's going to be a huge disappointment. Huge disappointment in terms of what they're setting up. So it makes someone like me, who questions the purpose of a remake like this, excited for sequels. It makes me excited to see, you want to give me, the player, something I haven't had before. You want to get not a fresh take on something. It's a step further than a fresh take on something. So that's what makes me excited. I think what they've shown through the way they're handling the main cast is it's really good. Barrett is such a great character.
Oh man, yeah, I just went on a rant about this game. I'm enjoying it pretty immensely. I like the characters. I like the story. It's
and the bigger moments
it's some
are
anime
great.
nonsense. Some of
Like
it.
Cloud doing his dance.
Oh my god, one of the best moments this year.
Maybe the best. Like it's this year. Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say from the game, it's probably my favorite. Like it's just
Well, I really enjoyed. Real quick, I know this is not what everyone wanted, and I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy VII. We already talked about that, but I felt a particular level of appreciation when I got to walk on the rooftops with Aerith.
that is very very good.
Felt. I'm happy, even if it's not exactly what you wanted. I'm happy you guys got this. 20 years, 23 years.
What was it?
I think it's 97.
That sounds right.
23 years. People have been asking for this. So I'm happy you got it. Maybe it's not exactly what you wanted, but it's pretty damn good.
It has a lot of, like, when it shines, it knocks it out of the park.
And it really does tighten its focus. I probably about halfway through. There's a couple open areas, and
you're more than 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah, I know. I know what's coming.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
But,
sorry.
There's a couple open areas. There's a couple chapters that have 4 to 8 side quests. None of them are interesting. Some of them do seem like to have a pretty natural progression. I did find myself catch myself. Oh, I'm already 4 side quests in. I'm just gonna be done here. Some of them feel kind of naturally implemented, but they're not particularly interesting. Once you escape, was it Don Corleone?
Don Corneo.
Corneo, that's
the best belly jiggle physics
Yeah.
of all time.
So once you escape him, the stakes are raised immediately. They go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly, and that was maybe 10 hours into the game, maybe a little more. But from there, it's had a pretty clear progression. There hasn't been any large open areas. And
there are some pace breakers still. But
yeah.
I think
after that, you've got the graveyard I mentioned, the train graveyard. That's unnecessary. You have a cool boss, sure.
2 cool bosses.
Yeah. So, some slight pace breakers, but from that point, I've enjoyed the whole thing because you're not interacting with NPCs. You're just going through the dungeons.
It's the characters that are already really well realized
great
characters.
Interaction there. I really love when Barrett definitely is the star of the show.
Yeah, how
this
can you
time
make
around?
a terrorist, like someone on YouTube mentioned this, in a post 9/11 world, a terrorist who they don't pull punches. He's obviously a terrorist. A sympathetic character who you like and root for. Incredibly interesting and honestly surprising.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. That is
the second time I mentioned 9/11. Is that what's interesting?
No. But when it's so clearly presented that this is a terrorist, no one complained about controlling Barrett. Only happy.
Interesting. Yeah. People were.
So that just goes to show a little more that it was media hype that I think caused the outrage over. Oh no, not quotes. It was real outrage over Last of Us. But
people were frustrated.
People were very frustrated.
I think there are people who are frustrated for real though about that game still, and I would ask them just play the game.
Yeah,
just try it. And if you still don't like
try
it,
that for yourself.
Fantastic, no problem. I get it. You're very passionate about the story. You don't like what they did with it. I get that for sure. But I would still encourage you to play it yourself if you haven't. It's worth your time, I think. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this is not a Last of Us 2 podcast.
It's not. So Barrett, definitely the star of the show. He gets a really great moment after the plate drops. And does that happen in the first game?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
I think you leave Midgar at the end of the first disc.
No. You leave Midgar 6 hours in.
Oh. Maybe I didn't finish the first disc.
Yeah, the first disc ends when Aerith gets killed.
Huh.
The last boss of the first disc, I think, is I think it's the wall, which is a great boss fight, and I hope they do it. Anyway.
So one of my favorite moments so far, aside from walking on the roofs with Aerith, I just think that's a particularly special moment. You know, you got that silly BS, the way you climb up ladders and move around things, but it's great. The environment is absolutely gorgeous, and that banter between these not quite strangers is really special. But after the plate drops, Barrett is concerned for everyone, and Tifa and Cloud have saw the two of their friends die, and they're not telling Barrett about it. He's a pretty emotional character, and I don't mean like
he stands tall on his ethos, man. Like
and you know, him being just like a generally good dad, a good friend, a caring person. Yes, a terrorist. That you can't deny that. But also seemingly a pretty damn good person. And I love when he's so desperate to find Marlene after the plate has dropped, and Cloud thinks he knows where she is, and he's like, please, Cloud, just tell me where you think she is. I just give me something to cling on to. I promise, if she's not there, I won't blame you. And Cloud is about to tell her, and he's like, no, who am I kidding? I'm gonna want to rip your head off. Just like the way he delivers it is like, that's not true. I want to kill anyone right now.
Yeah.
I just think that's a really, really great moment.
Yeah, it's great. And like the voice actor for him, like, they gave him the golden ticket, man. They're
God,
like,
he's so
just
good.
Run with it. I personally think the best example in the game of voice acting comes from Aerith's voice actor. I know there's been some controversy around here.
Why?
I'm not sure why. I was reading up on it, but she's great. She does a fantastic job.
I do like her a lot.
And I really like just the way she's characterized. I think she has brought real life into a character that is so central to the story. Tifa's great. Cloud will hopefully be great. I like what they've done. It has made me, who is not excited for this game, excited for what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'll finish it. Got a couple days before Immortals comes out.
Yep, and that's our next game.
It is our next game. Got a couple days, so I'll likely finish this.
Please do. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and I'm right there, man. I am.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah, I like Aerith. She's definitely the most, I think, human character.
Oh yeah, she's the relatable one for sure.
Yeah,
people have mentioned being Cloud being relatable, and I didn't pick up on that.
How?
I don't know. I personally could not. I think that Cloud in the original game becomes a very relatable character.
Oh, sure, maybe. But here, what we get right now...
Yeah, not for me, but
Aerith, if he's at all relatable...
And Tifa's really relatable too. I think
Tifa is relatable, but I'm talking about voice actors. I think Barrett's my favorite because just super fun.
Yeah, he's Barrett.
Barrett's a big teddy bear, and the way he like just hugs Tifa at the bottom after the plate drops.
The way he sings the end victory theme song to himself.
But the most grounded voice actors definitely Aerith.
Yeah.
Tifa has a little more of that anime China doll to her.
Sure.
And then Cloud's just a brick wall. He's got some good lines though.
For sure.
Oh my God, I love when you break into Don whatever his name is, Corneo's house. You're in that like lingerie contest with Tifa and Aerith. It's so good. And he's cross dressing. And first of all, I'm so happy they kept this scene in. It might be changed a little bit. I don't remember. But that was a big concern of mine. Like, are they gonna steer clear of this like super fun moment? And they treat it pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so as well.
My opinion doesn't really matter, but it seems like they treat it pretty well. And I love when Tifa finds him and she's like, Cloud? That dress. Yeah, nailed it. I know. Moving on.
Yeah, he's just like... he's so good. Yeah, I think that it's moments like that make me excited to see them really start to crack open.
It's
Cloud.
a super. I've laughed a lot. It's not emotional on the same level as Last of Us. Just
No.
came from The Last of Us.
Gosh, no.
But I'm pretty well invested, even though some of the characters are a little flat. I like it a lot. I've enjoyed it, especially when they tighten the focus a little bit in the second half of the game. It becomes very enjoyable, and these 4 characters. I'm looking at the back of the box here. These 4 characters are legendary.
Oh, absolutely.
They are so ingrained in this culture, gaming culture, and I'm excited to continue to be with them in a way that I haven't been before. And I'll probably go play the original one now that I've got that.
Please
collection.
do. I again, even after this game, which I really liked, I'm not sure how much that came off in this. I really liked this game. That if we're talking about things that I can forgive this game. I enjoy the combat so much, and like Tyler said, I like being with these characters. So, but the original, this is not something that's here to replace it. It's like we said, it's a step above that. It's not there to replace it. Please, if you like this game, maybe it's your first experience with it, go play the original. It's widely available now.
Oh yeah, I mean you can get it on your iPhone.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's fun to play. The materia system is the same in both, so it's engaging. Can't recommend it enough. But yeah, I just want to make sure people know that I really liked this game. It's one of the, and it's one that I had a rocky start with. It's one that I wasn't too sure about. So if you're maybe on the fence about it, I think that you'll know within the first 2 hours. Not even the first 2 hours. Like, you'll know with that demo.
Yeah, just check out that's the big thing. Check out that demo, assuming it's still available.
If not, I mean, yeah, you'll know in the first hour after that first boss, basically, because that's what the game is setting up to be.
Take advantage of GameStop's glorified rental service.
Glorified.
Their return is 30 days in-store credit, no questions. So you could buy one game and play games for a year. It's great.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. So it's a good game. I know I went on a rant. And I'll probably seem hypocritical once we play Yakuza, which is it's going to be sometime next year. We're going to dive into Yakuza.
Oh man.
But it's presented that way. It glorifies those things. And
I'm just excited to finally play Yakuza.
Yeah.
Like I like to think of myself as a pretty well-read gamer, for lack of a better term. I've hit a lot of the classics, a lot of the staples, and Yakuza's one that I haven't touched yet. So I'm trying to convince Tyler to let us just go through the whole thing, which is a commitment.
That's so much.
It's a lot, but
especially if we're gonna do the Evilus Alliance next year.
That's just how I play games, though. You hear me talk about Metal Gear all the time. That's because I straight up just one time went, I'm gonna play these games, and I played them all. Like all the ones Kojima was directly involved in, just back to back. That's just how I play games. So anyway, regardless. This is a good game. We think you should check it out. Also, what you should check out is our Patreon, though. We have a $2 tier. You can get into our Discord. We're trying to build that community about sharing games. We want to share stuff like this. Want to share stuff like the original. Maybe just there are some Japanese games that you want to show Tyler that you're like, hey, this does all that stuff that you don't like, but I think it's good for this, this, and this. And we want to play it. We want to talk about it. That's what we're here for. We like the aspect of being able to share games with one another. That's what started this here. So join us on Discord if you can't.
I want to hear about your Tifa builds.
Oh, Tifa builds. Let's do it. So I think that if you can't join us there, you should definitely just follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. We're posting there. We want to build community. We want to share games with you guys. So check us out there. We loved having you. This was a good episode.
And we always forget to mention this. We're on YouTube, so like and subscribe. Please, you would be surprised just how much it helps. So yeah, if you're at this point, you obviously like the video enough to like the video. So please, we very much appreciate it.
It's helpful.
Yes, indeed. But thank you for joining us. We'll be back in another 2 weeks to talk about Immortals.
Phoenix Rising.
Correct.
Yep, take it easy.
Bye.